Alright.
Today, i-discuss natin kung ano at kung anong meron sa quadratic function. So bago natin talakayin mga samples, let us discuss first the definition in the book. So by the definition in the book, quadratic function is a second-degree function of the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. So later on, i-discuss ko kung bakit ang a or ang value ng a ay hindi kailanman pwede maging 0. So lahat ng numbers na nasa left side ng x squared, yan ang tinatawag na coefficient. So sa pag-solve ng quadratic function, ito ay nasa-separate into two. The first, saan ko na isusulat dito na? The first is the general form, and the second is the standard form. Standard form or vertex form. So, huwag kayong mag-alala kasi isa-solve din natin to or i-discuss din natin sa separate video. Pero this day or this time, ang i-discuss lang natin ay yung general form na kung saan may form na y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Ito yung tinatawag na general form. General form. So sa equation na to guys, y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, tandaan lang natin na itong term na to kung saan may exponent na 2 or mas kilala sa tinatawag natin na second degree term, yan ay tinatawag na quadratic term. At yung bx naman, kung saan may understood na 1 sa upper right side or upper right corner ng x, yan naman ang tinatawag na linear term. Hindi na natin kailangan isulat yung exponent na 1 dahil it is understood. Kung baga hindi rin magbabago yung value ng x. Yung c naman ang tinatawag na constant term. Okay? So again guys, magkaiba ang quadratic function sa quadratic equation. So to briefly explain, quadratic equation ay ang equation na mabubuo sa quadratic function tulad ng y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So sa pag-solve ng quadratic equation, there are 4 different methods. So the first method is extracting square root, factoring, second method. The third method is completing the square, and the fourth one is the quadratic formula. So we will discuss kung ano yung pagkakaiba ng solutions ng apat na to. At aalamin natin kung which of them yung pinaka-efficient na gamitin natin sa pag-solve ng quadratic equation. So, first, siguro magbibigay muna tayo ng sample ng isang quadratic equation, tapos isa-solve natin na gamit yung apat na to. So, i-erase muna natin to guys. Okay, so now let us discuss the first method, which is extracting square root. So, magbibigay muna tayo ng sample. F of x is equal to x squared minus 4. At para malaman natin kung ano ang value ng x, kailangan nating i-let ang f of x is equal to y is equal to 0. By the way, ang f of x, yan din ang y. It symbolizes, or it also symbolizes y. So, pwede rin natin siyang i-rewrite na y is equal to x squared minus 4. So, as I've said earlier, we will let y is equal to 0. So, 0 is equal to x squared minus 4. Pwede rin nating pagpalitin yung terms sa left side and right side. So, pwede nating i-rewrite it ng x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Depende kung saan kayo mas convenient. So, but for me, mas madali yung ganito. So, first, nagagawin natin pag ganito na yung equation natin, kailangan nating i-transpose yung negative 4. Ang negative 4 na to, ito yung constant term. Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, tapos itong x naman na naka-raise into 2, yan yung quadratic term. And in this case, absent yung bx, which is the linear term. So, ita-transpose na natin yung negative 4 sa right side. So, magiging x squared is equal to positive 4. Now, tandaan lang natin na any numbers na may sign na positive, no need to write. Kasi, hindi rin magbabago yung value ng number. So, as is. Positive 4 will be 4 only. Okay. So, sa pagkakataong ito, dito na papasok yung the title itself, yung extracting square root. Okay. So, paano ba natin i-extract ang square root? Para ma-extract natin square root, yung x squared, magiging x na lang siya. Tapos, yung 4, ipapasok natin sa loob ng radical sign. Kung mapapansin natin, yung second degree, nawala na pagdating dito. Tapos, yung 4, nasa loob na ng radical sign. Ito na yung tinatawag na extracting square root. Now, pag naging ganito ng equation, huwag natin kakalimutan na lagyan ng plus and minus sign or positive negative sign sa left side ng radical sign kasi it indicates na any value na nasa loob nito ay may two signs. It could be either positive or negative. At since it could be positive or negative, ibig sabihin, yung value ng x ay magiging dalawa rin. So, we will name it as x1 and x2. So, alam naman natin na ang square root ng 4 ay 2. At since sabi ko nga kanina, kung ano ang any values na nasa loob ng radical sign, it could be either positive or negative. So, magiging positive and negative. At since ang square root ng 4 is 2, write it directly. So, ibig sabihin, ang square root ng 4 ay pwedeng positive 2, pwedeng negative 2. Alright? So, ito na ngayon yung value ng x na hinahanap natin. Second method, which is factoring. So, same sample pa rin. F of x is equal to x squared minus 4. So, before we proceed factoring, so let us now observe the equation x squared minus 4. Kung mapapansin natin, this equation involves only two terms. The first term, which contains the second degree, that is the quadratic term. And the negative 4, that is the constant term. At missing ang linear term, yung may bx. Yung sa quadratic function na y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Missing ang bx na to. Okay. So, ano ba ang kinalaman ng linear term at constant term sa pag-solve ng quadratic equation using factoring? So, dito na ngayon papasok at pag-uusapan na natin ang tinatawag na sum of the roots at product of the roots. So, nilagyan ko ng acronym, sum of the roots SOR and product of the roots POR para mas madaling ma-familiarize. Okay. So, from the word itself, sum, ang operation ay plus or positive, and product, ang operation are times or multiplication. Okay. Anong kinalaman ni SOR at POR sa quadratic equation when it comes to factoring? Okay. So, isosolve na natin ngayon yung x squared minus 4 using factoring sa solution. So, x squared minus 4 is equal to f of x, but we will let f of x is equal to 0 so that we can solve the value of x. Alright. So, sa pag-factoring, automatic, maglagay na kayo ng equals and 0 sa tapat mismo ni equals and 0 para mas convenient tignan. Okay? And then automatic, dalawang open and closed parenthesis. Then automatic, x, x. Bakit x, x? Kasi pag minultiply mo ang dalawang x, ang sagot ay x squared. So meaning tama. Ang problema lang natin, hindi natin alam kung ano yung ilalagay nating sign after x. Okay? So always take note, since this equation involves only two terms at absence si linear term, okay, automatic, ang magiging sign mo ay plus and minus. Why? Kasi negative form nga to. Malalaman natin yan later. Ngayon, i-discuss muna natin si linear term na missing. Okay? Since linear term that is missing, and that is the bx, always take note that linear term is always equal to 0 if it is missing. Okay? Ngayon, may idea na tayo sa quadratic equation via factoring na ang linear term ay 0. So, ngayon, ang problema na lang natin kung ano yung numbers na ilalagay natin dito, dalawang numbers, pwedeng magkapareho, pwedeng magkaiba, nakukumpleto sa quadratic, sa factoring equation. Okay. So ngayon, let us think for the two numbers na pag minultiply natin, ang sagot ay negative 4. Alamin muna natin, check natin sa pamamagitan ng sum of the roots, SOR, and product of the roots, POR. Okay. So, but before we do that, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, let us think first for the two numbers. Okay. Na ang sagot ay 4 pag minultiply. Okay, sa POR, product of the roots, and SOR, sum of the roots. Okay. Okay. So, sa product of the roots, ano yung dalawang numbers na pag minultiply mo, ang sagot ay 4? Pwedeng 4 and 1, and then 2 and 2. So, assuming na hindi nga natin alam, although na-solve na natin na ang value ng x ay 2 and 2, based on the previous solution using the first method which is the extracting the square, assuming hindi natin to alam. So, ang ilalagay naman natin ay 4 and 1. By the way, sa factoring guys, it's just a matter of trial and error. So, walang masama sa trial and error as long as makuha natin yung right answer. Okay? So, nalagay na natin na ang factor ng x squared minus 4 ay x plus 4 and x minus 1. Ang tanong, tama ba na 4 and 1 ang nilagay natin? So, let us check. Product of the roots. Pag minultiply ko ang 4 and 1, negative 1, ang sagot ba ay negative 4? Yes, check. Sa sum of the roots naman, pag i-plus natin, i-add natin yung dalawa. 4 and negative 1, that's 4 plus negative 1, or simply 4 minus 1, that is equal to 3. Meaning to say, according to our solution, the sum of the roots is equal to 3. But then, as based on our explanation earlier, if linear term is missing, therefore the linear term must be 0. But here, linear term or sum of the terms is 3. Therefore, ang first assumption natin na 4 and 1 ay mali. Yung sum of the roots niya ay mali. Therefore, automatic, mali na yung 4 and 1. Okay. So, let us now try the second assumption, yung 2 and 2. Okay. Pag minultiply ba natin ang 2 and negative 2, ang sagot ba ay 4? Negative 4? Yes. 2 times negative 2, that's negative 4. Okay. So, check siya sa POR, o product of the roots. I-check naman natin yung sum of the roots. 2 plus negative 2, or simply 2 minus 2 equals 0. And based on our explanation, if linear term is missing, therefore linear term must be 0. And based on the solution, 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, ang assumption natin na 2 and 2, yan ay tama. Okay, so therefore, ilalagay na natin siya dyan. So, delete lang tayo. Okay. Since tama na to, tama na yung sagot natin, factoring natin, so, gagawa tayo ngayon ng division. Isosolve natin separately. Yung first term, that is x plus 2 is equal to 0, then x minus 2 is equal to 0. By transposing, transpose, x is equal to negative 2. Kasi pag nilipat natin yung positive, magiging negative 2. Dito naman sa kabila, x is equal to, transpose natin yung negative 2, magiging positive 2. But positive 2 is still 2. So, hindi na natin kailangan isulat yung positive. Therefore, may assumption, may conclusion na tayo na ang value ng x ay negative 2 and 2. So, pwede nating lagyan ng subscript na x1 and x2. Pwede rin yan maging x2 then x1. It doesn't matter. Kahit hindi mo rin lagyan yan, okay lang. Pero lagyan na lang natin. Okay? x1 and x2. So, yan na po yung value ng x pagdating sa equation na x squared minus 4. So, ang tanong, sigurado na ba tayo na yan ang sagot? Yan ang value? Let us check. So, erase lang tayo. Okay. So, check. Ang sabi ng equation, x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So, let us try to substitute the first value of x, which is x1, negative 2, isa-substitute natin sa x na to, sa equation na to. Alright, so, negative 2, so, squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Ang negative 2 ba, pag minultiply mo by itself, anong sagot? That's 4. Minus 4 is equal to 0, therefore check. Then, sa isang, sa isang value, the positive 2. That's 2 squared minus 4 is equal to 0. 2 multiplied by itself, that is equal to 4 minus 4, still 0. Therefore, the value of x is which is negative 2 and 2, that is absolutely 100% correct. So, ibig sabihin, naipalabas natin sa first method na extracting the square and second method na factoring, isa lang yung value na negative, which is negative 2 and positive 2. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa first and second method. So, didiscuss naman natin ngayon yung third method, and that is the completing the square. So, same sample pa rin, f of x is equal to x squared minus 4. So, in this equation, since the linear term is missing, hindi natin magagamit yung completing the square. Why? Kasi the equation involves only two terms, the quadratic term and constant term. Pag nilipat natin or tinranspose yung constant term, so automatic may extract na natin yung square root. So dun na directly papasok yung extracting the square. So ang mangyayari niyan, gagawa tayo ng another sample of equation na pwede natin gamitin ang completing the square. So f of x is equal to x squared plus 6x minus 16. Okay, so solution. Pagpalitin lang natin, x squared plus 6x minus 16 is equal to f of x, and let f of x is equal to 0. Okay. So sa process po ng pag-solve ng completing quadratic equation using completing the square, copy and paste lang palagi tayo dito. So that's x squared, i-copy lang natin quadratic term plus linear term, that's 6x, and then automatic plus kung kahit ano pa mang ano nito, sign nito, plus pa rin to. Pero kung dito lang siya magbabari, kung ano ang sign dito, yun din yung sign dito sa before linear. Pero after the linear, automatic plus. Malalaman natin yan later on. Okay. So, again, x squared plus 6x plus, kunin natin yung kalahati ng coefficient ng linear term, and that is 6. So, ang kalahati ng 6, okay, 6, i-divide natin sa 2, then, wag natin kakalimutan i-square. Then, directly transpose na natin yung negative 16, so magiging positive 16, plus, kung ano ang dinagdag natin dito, yun din yung isusulat natin sa right side. So, 6 over 2 squared. That is the first step. Another step, copy and paste x squared plus 6x plus. Since alam na natin at medyo mababa lang ang value ng 6 or number na 6, alam natin ang kalahati ng 6 ay 3, pwedeng diretso na natin isulat yung 3, and then wag lang natin kakalimutan lagyan ng square. So 16 plus, kung ano man ang sinulat mo sa left side, yun din ang susulat natin sa right side. Another, x squared plus 6x plus. Since that is 6, okay, kunin natin yung kalahati ng 6, so we will multiply 1/2 of the coefficient of x. So 1/2 of 6, gagamit tayo dito ng open and close brackets kasi may nauna ng open and close parenthesis, and then square root. So 16 plus, kung ano man ang sinulat mo sa left side, yun ang gagayahin natin. Alright. So kung papansin natin, medyo complicated itong pang third. Medyo mahaba. At ang pinaka-convenient dito ay yung sa gitna kasi more simplified na at saka mas madali. So, ito ngayon yung gagamitin natin. So, i-rewrite lang natin. So, okay. Tapos na natin i-rewrite. X squared plus 6x plus 3 squared equals 16 plus 3 squared. Yung 3 galing sa kalahati ng 6 and then ini-square lang natin. Okay. So, simplify lang natin. X squared plus 6x plus 3 multiplied by itself, 3 times 3, that's 9, equals 16, plus 3 multiplied by itself, 3 times 3 equals 9. Simplify, x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 16 plus 9, that's 25. Okay. Okay, so kung mapapansin natin, ang x squared plus 6x plus 9 is in a form of general form of quadratic equation. So, ito rin yung ax squared plus bx plus c, in which ax squared, yan yung x squared, bx yan yung 6x, and c that is the constant or constant term. Okay? So, what's next? So, kailangan nating i-transform ang general form into standard form. So, how? So, napakadali lang mag-transform from general form into standard form. No need to solve. Okay? Kailangan lang natin sundin yung process na to. But since merong constant dito na 25, unahin muna natin, copy and paste. Now, proceed na tayo ngayon sa equation, sa general form. Alright? So, first and foremost, gawa tayo ng open and close parenthesis and then square. And then, put directly x. Okay. So, just observe kung ano yung sign ng coefficient ng linear term na x. Yun din yung ilalagay natin dito after x. So, since this is positive x, automatic that is positive. Ang tanong, what's next? So, kung ano naman ang nilagay natin, nakalahati ng coefficient ng linear x, and that is positive 3, automatic, yan yung ilalagay natin. That is, x plus 3 squared is equal to 25. Ngayon, paano natin malalaman kung ang x plus 3 squared is the standard form of x squared plus 6x plus 9? Dali lang. Let's expand. X times x squared. 2 times 3 times x, 6x. 3 times 3, 9. So therefore, tama yung nilagay natin. So after we write the standard form and conclude na tama yung sinulat natin, so dito na papasok ngayon yung extracting the square root. At kung mapapansin natin, parang magkapatid lang yung completing the square at extracting the square root. Okay, magkasunod silang ginagamit sa pag-solve ng quadratic equation. So just copy x plus 3 is equal to 25. Para mawala yung 2, kailangan nating square root si 25. Gagawa tayo ng radical sign which nasa loob si 25, and then wag natin kakalimutan maglagay ng plus, minus. Okay. So, ang susunod na gagawin natin ay extracting the square. So, from the given x plus 3 equals positive, negative, square root of 25. Okay? So, x plus 3 equals plus minus square root of 25 is 5. So, ang sunod na gagawin natin ay isasolve na natin ang value ng x. At para masolve ang value ng x, kailangan nating i-transpose yung positive 3 sa right side. So, magiging x equals plus minus 5 minus 3. So, pwede na natin ngayon masolve yung value ng x, provided na kailangan nating mag-consider ng plus and minus sign. So, we will consider first the positive, and we will name the first value of x as x1. Now, equals, since we considered positive, so that is positive 5, pero hindi na natin isusulat yung positive dahil understood na yung 5. Then 5 copy yung 3, negative 3 rather. Then that is equal to positive 2. So, other value of x, we consider negative, and that is x2 equals negative 5 kasi we consider negative, then minus 3 equals negative 5 minus 3, that is negative 8. So, what's next? I-check na natin ngayon kung ang values ba ng x na positive 2 and negative 8, kung yan ba ang roots ng quadratic equation of f of x equals x squared plus 6x minus 16. So, checking. from f of x equals x squared plus 6x minus 16. Now we will let f of x is equal to 0, so x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. Bale, considering the first value of x, that is positive 2, so isa-substitute natin yung 2 sa lahat ng variables na x. So 2 squared, that is x squared, so 2 squared plus 6, so times 2 minus 16 equals 0. 2 multiplied by itself, 2 times 2, that is 4, then plus 6 times 2, that is 12, minus 16 equals 0. 4 plus 12, 16, minus 16 equals 0. 16 minus 16, that is 0, equals 0. Therefore, check. Ibig sabihin, ang first value ng x, which is positive 2, ay nagsatisfy sa given equation, quadratic equation na f of x equals x squared plus 6x minus 16. So this time, tatalakayan na natin ngayon ang pinaka-last method sa pag-solve ng quadratic equation. Ito ay ang quadratic formula. Ang quadratic formula ay ang nakasanayan natin nung high school na x is equal to negative b positive negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Or, pwede mo rin siyang i-rewrite ng x equals negative b positive negative square root of discriminant all over 2a. So, nasa solver na kung which of these equations or formula ang gagamitin niya. Pareho lang yung value. Provided na itong d, lagi mong tatandaan na yan ay short for discriminant. D, that is discriminant. Ng formula naman ng discriminant, that is b squared minus 4ac. So kung mapansin nyo, yung b squared minus 4ac nasa loob ng square root. Kaya pinalitan lang natin ng letter d para mas shortcut natin yung formula. Pero ako nung high school ako, ito lang yung minemorize ko. Talagang minemorize ko na to at tumatak na sa isipan ko hanggang sa hindi na siya nawala sa isipan ko. At dala-dala ko na ngayon hanggang sa nung nag-college ako up until now. Okay, so proceed na tayo ngayon sa sample. Okay, so nasa sample na tayo. F of x equals x squared minus 4. Kung mapapansin nyo, ito rin yung sample natin. Gamit yung extracting the square root, factoring, and completing the square. So completing the square hindi natin nagamit dahil absent si linear term. So this time sa quadratic formula, kahit na absent yung linear term or kahit itong constant term pa yung absent, pwede nating masolve yung quadratic equation. Okay. So first solution, or should I say given. So from this equation, ang una nating gagawin ay i-identify yung mga values ng mga variables. Sinabi ko kanina, yan yung A, B, and C. Galing, ang A, B, C na to ay galing yan sa y equals or f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Yung a galing sa ax, coefficient ng x squared, And then yung b, coefficient ng x. At yung c naman, yan yung constant term. At dahil sabi ko kanina, ang a, that is the term for the coefficient or numerical coefficient ng x squared. At kung mapapansin natin dito sa equation na x squared minus 4, ang coefficient ng x is understood to be 1. Kaya isusulat natin dito ng a is 1. Bakit 1? Kapag wala kayong nakitang numbers na katabi ng x, halimbawa single lang siya, automatic isulat mo ng 1. Okay, so sabi naman, since kanina sabi ko, nung mag-solve tayo gamit yung completing the square, sabi ko, hindi natin magagamit yung completing the square dahil absent yung linear term. Okay? Since absent ang linear term sa equation na to, automatic, 0 ang linear. 0 si coefficient na b. Okay. So, huwag na nating pahabain yung discussion natin. Yung c, automatic yan yung negative 4. So, isusulat natin dito si negative 4. At since na-identify na natin ang mga values ng a, b, and c, we can now proceed to our formula, and that is solution x equals negative b positive negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Right after this formula, we can now directly substitute these values. So, negative b, that is, the value of b is 0. You can write the sign, negative, or pwede mo rin hindi siya isulat. Pwede rin, kasi 0 din siya eh. Pero isulat na lang natin. Plus, minus. So, the value of b is, again, 0, naka-squared, minus 4. Value ng a, that is 1. Value ng c, that is negative 4. All over 2, dahil yan yung denominator. Ang katabi nito is a, and the value of a is 1. Equals, huwag na natin isulat yung 0, diretso positive, negative, square root of, hindi rin natin isusulat yung 0, cancel out na natin yan. So, negative 4 times 1 times negative 4, that is positive 16. Okay. Over 2 times 1, that is 2. Positive, negative. Hindi na siya magkasya. Dito ko na lang sulat. Okay. Positive, negative. What is the square root of 16? That is 4 over 2. Gagawa lang tayo dito ng separation. x1 equals, maglagay lang tayo ng plus sign. That is x1. So, positive 4 divided by 2, that is 2. Considering negative, x2, negative 4 divided by 2, that is negative 2. So, therefore, the values of x are 2 and negative 2. These are also the roots of the quadratic equation x squared minus 4. So, kung mapapansin natin, ito rin yung values na nasolve natin or nakuha natin gamit yung extracting the square root and factoring. So, after this sample, isosolve naman natin yung sinolve natin kanina gamit yung completing the square, pero ibang equation naman yun. So, try natin kung magtutugma rin ba pag gagamitin natin ang quadratic formula. Okay. So, kung papansinin niyo, napakadali lang ng quadratic formula kasi wala ka nang iisipin pang Hindi ka na mag-square, hindi ka na magagamit, hindi tulad nung sa completing the square, mag-iisip ka pa kung ano yung kalahati ng linear, tapos i-square mo pa. Dito sa quadratic formula, all you have to do is to substitute those given values. So ito lang problema mo, dapat malaman mo pinakaunang first step na gagawin mo, aalamin natin yung values ng A, B, and C. In which A, B, C galing yan sa general form of quadratic equation na f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so second sample na tayo using quadratic formula pa rin. So the formula, the equation is f of x equal to x squared plus 6x minus 16. So kung mariremember natin, ito rin yung equation na ginamit natin using the completing the square. Okay, so the first step is to write the given. So we need to identify the values of A, B, and C. Alright. So A is the coefficient of x squared, and since the coefficient is understood to be 1, so we will write 1. For linear term x, the coefficient is 6. So we will write 6 as the corresponding value of the letter B. Well, C, the constant term, that is negative 16. So after writing these values, we can now proceed to our formula. And that is x equals negative b positive negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Question, bakit kailangan natin isulat ang formula? Answer, para masanay ang kamay mo at yung isip mo para mas madali niya ma-familiarize at ma-memorize ang quadratic formula, especially sa mga baguhan pa at medyo naninibago pa sa formula na to. Alright? So after writing the formula, just directly substitute these values. So negative, sulat natin diretso, negative. What is the value of b? That is 6. Positive, negative, square root of, what is the value of b? That is 6 at naka-squared siya. Minus 4. What is the value of a? That is 1. What is the value of c? Negative 16. Okay. All over 2. What is the value of a? 1. Alright. Copy paste lang tayo. Bring down negative 6 plus minus. Again, square root. 6 multiplied by itself, 6 times 6, that is 36. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 16. So understood na yan ay positive dahil negative times negative positive. So solve lang natin yung 4 times 16. Hindi tayo gagamit ng calculator. Assuming na high school pa tayo. At since sa high school, hindi pa ginagamit yung calculator. So, that would be 16 times 4. 6 times 4, that is 24. Carry to 1 times 4, 4 plus 2, that is 6. So, the answer is positive 64. All over 2 times 1, that is 2. Alright, so erase. Gagawa tayo ngayon ng separation para hindi magulo. So, ikakopy lang natin to para dito na tayo tumingin sa right side. So, that would be x equals negative 6 plus minus 36 plus 64 all over 2. Yan din siya. Kinopya lang natin. Okay, equals. So, simplify lang natin siya. So, negative 6 plus minus square root of 36 plus 64. So, pwede tayo mag-solve dito. 36 plus 64. 6 plus 4, that is 10. 3 plus 6, that is 9. Plus 1, that is 10. So, 100. Sa mga mabilis na mag-solve ng math, especially sa addition, so you can directly solve 6 plus 4. I mean 6 plus 4, that is 10. Carry 1. 3 plus 6, that is 9. Plus yung kinary mo na 1, that is 10. So 100. 1 over 2. So erase. So simplify again. Negative 6 plus minus. What is the square root of 100? That is 10. Then all over 2. So para ma-simplify natin ang equation na to, negative 6 plus minus 10 all over 2, hati natin to sa dalawa dahil this equation is composed of two terms. The first term is negative 6 over 2 and the second term is plus minus 10 over 2. So that would be equals negative 6 over 2, the first term, plus minus 10 over 2, the second term. Equals, another simplify, negative 6 over 2, that is negative 3, plus minus 10 divided by 2, that is 5. So we can now directly solve the value of x. Considering the positive sign, okay, so negative 3 plus 5, that is positive 2. Considering negative sign, that is x2, that is x1, so this is equal to negative 3, considering the negative sign of 5, so minus 5. So negative 3 minus 5, that is negative 8. Meaning to say the two values of x are 2 and negative 8. And these are also the roots of the quadratic equation f of x is equal to x squared plus 6x minus 16. Kung mapapansin natin, ito rin yung values na nasolve natin using completing the square. Okay. Bale, hindi na natin kailangan i-recheck kung magsasatisfy ba sa equation na to dahil we have already proven kanina during the solution natin sa gamit yung completing the square na satisfy naman. So, ang importante na prove natin na gamit ang quadratic formula ay same lang din ang magiging sagot compare doon sa sagot natin sa completing the square. In other words, ang key term dito kahit alin man sa apat ang gamitin natin, extracting the square root, factoring, completing the square in this quadratic formula, same lang po ang lalabas na resulta. Same lang din po ang mga values ng x. So this time, ipapaliwanag ko yung unang statement ko kanina kung bakit ang a kailanman ay hindi pwedeng maging 0. A is always not equal to 0. Okay, mag-area. Okay, so equation na to, as we have identified earlier, a is equal to 1, b is 6, and c is negative 16. Considering na 0 to, halimbawa lang, na 0 yan, therefore 0 rin to. Balik tayo sa formula, quadratic formula. X equals negative b, positive negative, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Kung isa-substitute ko yung value ng a, dito sa baba, denominator 0. Sa tingin niyo, anong magiging resulta? Tandaan natin, any numbers, pag dinivide mo sa 0, let's say 2, dinivide natin sa 0, kahit isolve mo pa yan sa calculator, ang lalabas ay math error. Ibig sabihin, it cannot be solved. The equation cannot be solved if the denominator contains zero number. That's why a is always not equal to 0 when it comes to quadratic equation. Kahit ang gamitin pa natin dito ay yung extracting the square, yung f of x equals x squared minus 4. Kung gagawin natin 0 to, ay magiging f of x equals negative 4. Ang magiging equation na nito is y equals negative 4. Nawala yung quadratic term. So, wala na siyang silbi. Alright, so tapos na natin yung 4 methods. So, para mas maintindihan pa natin ng maigi, magdadagdag pa tayo ng another example. So, that's f of x equals x squared plus 7x plus 10. So, sa tingin nyo guys, alin sa apat na diniscuss natin, alin sa apat na 4 methods of quadratic equation yung pinaka-applicable, yung pinaka-efficient, pinaka-mabilis? So, tatanggalin na natin yung extracting the square kasi yung extracting the square applicable lamang para sa if the linear term is missing. Okay? So, since kumpleto yung term natin, meron tayong quadratic term, linear term, and constant term. So, yung tatlo na lang yung gagamitin natin. Is it factoring, completing the square, or a quadratic formula? So, first solution natin kanina, gamit yung completing the square, napansin naman natin na medyo mahaba-haba siya. Mahaba-haba dahil kailangan pa nating hanapan ng kalahati yung linear term and then square root and then i-add pa natin yung constant term. Constant. So, medyo mahaba siya. So, ngayon, ang gagamitin natin dito, either factoring or quadratic formula. So, maglalagay tayo ngayon ng time limit. Gagamitan natin ng stopwatch kung alin yung efficient or mas mabilis na paraan para ma-solve ang quadratic equation na to. Is it factoring or quadratic formula? Ngayon, again, ulitin ko ang purpose lang natin sa quadratic equation sa paggamit ng mga methods para malaman yung values ng x. At yung values ng x, yun yung tinatawag na roots of the quadratic equation. Okay? So, using factoring, okay. So, solution. So, the timer start na natin. Timer starts now. Okay, so x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0 equals 0. Open and close parenthesis. X, since dalawang positive, so plus. So that would be 5, 2. Therefore, x plus 5 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. X equals negative 5. X equals negative 2. Stop. So, na-solve natin ng 28 seconds. Okay. So, check natin later. So, gagawa naman tayo ng separation gamit yung quadratic formula. Okay. So, para ma-lessen yung isulat muna natin yung quadratic formula. That is negative b, positive negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright. This time, isosolve natin ang equation na f of x is equal to x squared plus 7x plus 10 gamit ang quadratic formula. But this time, gagamitan natin ang stopwatch para malaman natin kung gaano kabilis ang ating solution. Okay. So, let's start. So, solution. First, we need to identify the value of A. A is 1. B is positive 7. And C is positive 10. So, by direct substitution to the formula, negative B, that is negative, that is 7. Positive negative, square root of B squared, that is 7 squared, minus 4 times A, that is 1. C is positive 10. All over 2A. A is 1. Negative 7, positive negative. 7 times 7, that's 49. Minus 4 times 1 times 10, that is 40. All over 2 times 1, that is 2. Negative 7, positive negative. 49 minus 40, that is 9, all over 2. So, gagano lang natin. So, that would be x is negative 7. Let's divide this into two terms. Then positive negative, square root of 9. Pwede natin idiretso, that is 3 over 2. Therefore, ang sagot ay, considering positive, that is negative 7 plus 3 over 2. And that is negative 4 over 2 or negative 2. Considering negative sign, let's say that is x1, x2. Negative 7 minus 3 over 2 equals negative 4. Negative 7 minus negative 3, that is negative 10 over 2, that is negative 5. So, stop. Oh, so it took 2 minutes and 3 seconds and 65 microseconds. So, considering 2 minutes, na-solve natin ang equation na x squared plus 7x plus 10 gamit ang quadratic formula. Compare sa previous solution natin using factoring, mas mabilis. Seconds lang yung inabot niya, hindi pa umabot ng 1 minute. So, tingin nyo kaya guys, bakit humaba yung solution natin, yung oras sa pag-solve natin ng gamit yung quadratic formula? Dahil dito sa mga radical sign, pag-over, ang dami pang open and close parentheses, unlike sa factoring na mas madali. By the way, baka magtaka kayo bakit sa first value ng x using factoring, ang value is negative 5. While using quadratic formula, ang first value, which is x1, is negative 2. Again, gaya ng sabi ko dun sa early videos, it doesn't matter kung lagyan man natin ito ng subscript na 1 or 2 or 2 or 1, hindi pa rin magbabago yung value ng x. Still, ganyan pa rin. So, kahit na pangalanan natin itong x is equal to 2, tapos itong negative 2, that is 1, okay lang. Or, dito naman, kahit pangalanan natin itong x2 or x1, okay lang. Walang problema. Huwag lang yung mga important numbers yung mapapalitan. Tulad na lamang nito, negative 7 plus 3 all over 2. Kung yan ay ginawa mong negative 5, automatic mali na yung sagot. Dahil ibang usapan na, yung negative 2 na sagot ay gagawin mong other number. Okay? So ulitin ko, lahat ng masasolve natin na first value ng x ay papangalanan natin x1. While yung second value ng x, yun naman si x2. Okay? Sa quadratic formula naman, considering positive, Since ito yung first value ng x na na-solve natin, so we will name it as x1. And considering negative, since this is the second value of x, this would be x2. What do you think is the other reason kung bakit mas mabilis isolve yung factoring? Dahil nga sa once na na-identify na natin yung two numbers na aakma or sasakto sa product of the roots and sum of the roots, yun na mismo ang ating solution sa problem. Or yun na mismo yung roots sa equation. Tulad nito, x squared plus 7x plus 10. Alam naman natin na yung two numbers na pag minultiply natin, ang sagot ay 10, that would be 5 and 2. At the same time, pag inad natin yung dalawa, 5 and 2, ang sagot is positive 7. So, kahit dyan pa lang tayo, alam na natin na ang sagot ay negative 5 and negative 2. Bakit negative 5 and negative 2? Dahil pag tinranspose natin, magiging negative. Alright, so to make a recap, considering my quadratic function chart, quadratic function is in the form of f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0, a, b, c are real numbers, and x is the variable. The term ax squared is our quadratic term, bx is the linear term, while c is the constant term. Now, quadratic function is separated or divided into two forms, namely general form and standard form or vertex form. General form is in the form of f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, while standard form or vertex form is in the form of f of x is equal to a, open and close parenthesis, x minus h squared plus k. Or, pwede rin natin sabihin f of x is equal to a quantity x minus h squared plus k. Now, if ever either of the two forms of quadratic functions, the general form or standard form or vertex form, contains numbers, diyan napapasok ang ating tinatawag na quadratic equation. Again, quadratic equation is different from quadratic function. Quadratic functions only contains symbols or letters like ax squared plus bx plus c. While quadratic equation, it involves numbers like negative 7 and positive 10. So the equation f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x plus 10 can be considered as quadratic equation, where negative 7 is our sum of the roots and positive 10 is our product of the roots. So there are four different methods in solving quadratic equation. The first is the extracting square root, second factoring, third completing the square, and the fourth quadratic formula. Alright, so I will give some cases sa paggamit ng four different methods in solving quadratic equation. But before that, let's identify first the given symbols. QT is the quadratic term, LP linear term, and CT is the constant term. Lahat ng nakikita natin na check, that means a term is present, at ang X, a term is missing. At kung mapapansin natin, lahat ng QT or quadratic term sa four different methods ay present dahil naka-check. Why? Dahil according sa quadratic function, a is not equal to 0. That means, ang quadratic term o ang numerical coefficient ng x squared, which is a, ay hindi pwedeng maging missing. Okay, so let's now consider the cases. Gagamitin natin ang extracting the square root kung ang linear term is missing habang ang constant term is present. Tulad na lang ng sample natin na f of x is equal to x squared minus 4. X squared is the quadratic term and negative 4 is the constant term. And in that case, absent or missing ang linear term. That's why ang nagamit natin na method is extracting square root para diretso na siya masolve yung value ng x. Sa pagkakataong ang linear term naman ay present at yung constant term naman ang missing, that's the time na pwede natin gamitin ang factoring, pwede rin completing the square, pwede rin quadratic formula. Dahil kung mapapansin natin, ang linear term ay naka-check din ang linear term sa completing the square, naka-check din ang linear term sa quadratic formula. Habang ang constant term, naka-x, naka-x, naka-x. Now, if you consider this equation, f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x plus 10, kung gagawin natin present ang linear term, which is negative 7x, at ang constant term naman is missing, yung positive 10, so kung imimissing natin ang constant term, ang equation ay magiging f of x is equal to x squared minus 7x. And in that case, solvable pa ang value ng x. Pag ginamitan natin ang factoring, completing the square, and quadratic formula. Now, in a case naman na missing si linear term at present si constant term, and if we consider this equation, magiging x squared plus 10 na lang. Dahil nga, we consider na missing ang negative 7x. Pag ginamitan natin ito ng factoring, ng completing the square and quadratic formula, in this equation, magkakaroon ng imaginary ang value ng x. Kaya going back to my previous explanation, once na ang linear term ay missing at ang constant term ay present, automatic nang gagamitin na natin ay extracting square root.
Alright, time's up. I hope you learn new ideas on this subject matter. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can share more educational videos. Always remember, the more learnings we'll get, the more knowledge we'll have. For related suggestions, kindly comment down below. Thanks.